quick.
Yeah.
Just to review.
Low replay is a magical thing. So, we'll bring it up. We're going to take a look at those last two fights since we didn't do, the slow-mo replay at that time. And it really was very cool. But Millenium in so much control. We'll see coming to game number 3. I'm, definitely really excited for this match. But the entire game, we saw them just crushing. And here we are. We're actually, up to it. So we'll be in it shortly.
I just want to fast forward. I want to fast forward.
We'll take a look at the last two fights. So the Absolute Legends turnaround, and then the Millenium comeback. So
let's bring
two
this
cool
up here.
fights.
Let's bring this on up. There we go. So we're just gonna go through the last few minutes of the fight. So like Veggies out there in front. Both teams. Baron is down for the time being. This was the last pickup. And just going to go ahead and fast forward just a little bit, just so we can go ahead and get a better view on things, because we just got to go ahead and do this. So here's the Dragon pickup real quick by Absolute Legends as well. And just waiting for it. There we go. So you can go ahead and just pick out this fight, slow-mo it just a little bit. AL's able to take the tower convincingly. Corky's just way out in front. He's going to be able to chunk that thing pretty easy. And that's right. Roll replay. You can't go ahead and do that. I keep forgetting about that. There we go. Because I have my.
I got you.
I have my mouse 3 actually bound to mouse 2, and I forget that in roll replay that actually changes the vertical angle and things like whoa. Anyway, but then you go ahead and just speed to some normal speed just for now. So now I'm just trying to figure out where we need to be here. Let's go ahead and speed this up just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, here we go.
And there it is, the blind snare from over the wall with Morgana, and that's it. That's the end of the fight, basically. The Singed toss back, the Maokai. Janet tried to ult, but they had no means of disengaging other than it, and Corky was just bound, so no cleanse, no Quicksilver Sash. And once Corky's done, like at this point, they're doing a decent job of surviving, but we don't have the follow-up damage, and so COG is just laying waste to their team, able to eat them alive. Ezreal had to get out of there, couldn't take anyone down, and so they had the quick ace, and Ezreal was able to stall it off for a little bit, able to do a nice job there, but, with that quick ace, it was done. Like, without the Corky and without the Ezreal, the blind Morgana snare from Archigod right over the wall, just really nice play.
Now, here's the thing. This is a situation where
the sapling toss, actually.
The position of Archigod here, right on this part of the wall, the sapling toss over the wall, you don't have a ward. Sapling toss is perfect to just give you any amount of vision in a small area, and that was all the vision Millenium needed. You have the perfect angle to just go ahead and just slam a bind right there. And now, if Absolute Legends instead, boom, right there, if Corky and Alistar were actually to go the long way around through the bush, up through the lane, they would not have gotten caught. There would have been no vision here. Morgana was in the position. Archigod was there waiting and expecting someone like Alistar to actually come around. But what? Added bonus, you got a Corky, and he's way out in the open. And Archigod, this entire time, Game 1 and Game 2, has been getting so many binds over the wall. It's ridiculous. And again, here it is. That play still available, and that's really just what cost Absolute Legends the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so even though it looked like, they finally had the damage, Millenium was still, really in control of the game. It was just that we now finally had enough damage for Absolute Legends, but with Corky going down, instantly, it was just over. And actually, if we take a look at the previous fight, to see how Absolute Legends was actually able to kind of pull themselves back into it, it was a pretty interesting fight as well, because we have the double AD comp. They are looking to take advantage of that. It's probably around like 50 if you go, but when they're pushing down here, actually I guess this was right after. There it goes. So we're right there. Perfect. So Singed was out in front, and he knows he is just so tanky. He wanted to get out in front, and actually right out in front in the middle of the base, right before the fight started, Morgana or Janna was able to just burst him down almost instantly. And, then the follow-up with the double AD, they had so much survivability with both Corky and Ezreal, they were able to pull it out.
So there's Singed out in front. And this has been pretty much the entire game for Millenium. Singe is out in front, along with Maokai, and they're just looking to try and get the harass. And you'll notice, too, in most of these fights, whoever, Singe is looking for that flip. He's hunting everywhere to try and get the flip he needs, because once he's there, all the damage from Kog'Maw, all the CC coming in there from Maokai and Morgana, someone's dying. Someone's dying quick, someone's dying easy. But also keep in mind, Absolute Legends this entire time, Corki and Sejuani, they've actually been pretty far up in the front.
Right here is actually where they split. They were going to the inhibitor, but Singe turning back while the rest of his team is going to the outside. So a little bit of a miscommunication, and with the Janna, they just absolutely destroy Singe. And so now, Singed isn't there to disrupt Corki, to disrupt Ezreal. Ezreal and Corki are perfectly fine right now. Archigod gets off the ultimate, but the Arcane Shift and then the Valkyrie as well get him out, along with the Janna ult. So he wasn't able to get off his Zhonya's fast enough. And then Elite Random Ezreal coming over onto Cog. Sejuani is right into his face. They're able to burst down the Cog on the side and, survive the initial hits. And Corki actually chasing Singe out of the fight. Ezreal takes down the Kog'Maw. And at this point, they've won this fight. Like it's they have the double ADs that are better in the long sustained fights. You see how low Singed is, and
Soraka has no choice. She has to flash over the wall. She has to escape somehow. Ezreal ult does not actually quite almost actually got to Soraka in there, but this entire time there was a nice little buffer for when Kog'Maw, the GA, was trying to get was coming back up. Manages to get Sejuani, but he's still in the same spot, and that is a disadvantage to the Guardian Angels, that if you do get caught out in a fight, the revive is really for nothing, unfortunately. And
Ezreal actually going to be able to chase after Soraka for those kills. Celiver almost going down in the mid, but is able to survive, and now they have the turnaround. They are low enough. There's the Arcane Shift, so Soraka is going to go down, and Ezreal just has so much chasing power, as we have seen the entire time, is able to pick up Dax, and now it's just a rout. And they have the movement speed with both Janna and with their Triforces. They have so much movement speed, they can just chase them down and pick up the rest of these kills.
Fiaz is caught out in the back, and here's the Kiki's blow. Here's the Kiki's 800 damage slow. Boom! Wow, so much damage. So much damage in just an AP Janna. It is just silly. It is just silly and ridiculous, and all other words that can also describe the same. It is just, wow.
Yeah, and then Ezreal finishing it off with the chase.
Oh yeah,
able to take down Maokai, and then Morgana in the long pursuit with those long range slows, and just how fast he is. Able to pull it in. So really nice play the entire fight. Really nice play by Ezreal. We will be back into this game in a second. One of the players needed to take a quick break, but the Arcane Shift picking up the double. So just awesome play all around. Millenium in complete control of that game, though, from almost start to finish. The big thing is the double AD. They needed to get early advantages, and AD versus AP mid. The reason that you send your AP mid usually is AP mid, you have a lot of burst damage just from levels. You don't need a lot of items. Items are huge. If you get the items, then you can take those advantages. But ADs, they need a lot of farm in order to be successful. And they did get a lot of farm by the end of the game. But early on in the fights, they didn't have enough damage output. And so Morgana, she doesn't need a whole lot of items for damage output. You get a Sork Shoes, and you have burst to take people down. Corki and Ezreal didn't have that same success rate, so they weren't able to take early advantages. Corki mid, you expect Corki mid, to be able to abuse Morgana, but the binds and the damage from Maokai, and that was the concern. Maokai versus Sejuani. Sejuani can't put on the counter jungling pressure that Nocturne could in the previous game, so Maokai, one of the most aggressive junglers in the game, was able to get in there, was able to pick up early advantages, and Millenium, ran with it the whole time, though Absolute Legends did a fantastic job of constantly stalling them, constantly holding off those pushes.
But we mentioned it before in Champ Select. Let's just put out the hypothetical out there. What if instead of the Sejuani, AL decided to go for the Nautilus?
Well, it's interesting. Nautilus would have had a lot more ganking pressure early on. Nautilus would have been able to just, mid potentially. Mid was a very safe lane for Morgana, which is an issue.
Well, Morgana's a safe laner.
The issue is also they had, Janna top as well, and Nautilus wants to get ganks. He wants to get kills. he had a lot more. He would have a lot more killing potential than Sejuani. He would have more counter ganking potential than Sejuani. So if Maokai comes in on a gank, Nautilus follows it up, keeps track of him, is able to maybe get kills there. So they could have a much stronger early game. As the game progresses, Nautilus, his ult is very disruptive against Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw just sits in the back. You throw off the ultimate, and so that would have disrupted a lot of their damage through the mid game. The issue, though, is how much he can protect them. That's one of the things that Nautilus is great at, though. In his passive, being able to just root down when Singe comes in or when Maokai comes in, root them down, that would have been great. But what Nautilus wouldn't have is Sejuani's leap out. And so Sejuani was able to get the slow, but then the big thing is the leap out, and they needed to disengage constantly. They had Absolute Legends had a defensive team where they wanted to constantly kite Millenium and just not allow them to get an engage. If Nautilus was sitting there as the frontline tank, you kind of, with Nautilus, you set a wall and you're like, hey, this is where the wall stands, this is where we're fighting, you can't come past it. But if when we have Millenium at an advantage, they're going to just run right at Nautilus, and he's going to be like, oh, well, sorry to see you guys. I'm going down with the ship. See you later. But Sejuani had the opportunities where she could actually jump out. So it was a little bit safer with Sejuani since they had that kind of a kiting team. It was an interesting pick. They still had, the slow was definitely nice. It gave them the lockdown to continually kite with their ADs, having that perma-slow, which is definitely something that Nautilus doesn't have. He has instant roots, he has instant CC to burst people down, but the perma-slow definitely helped keep Corki and Ezreal alive a little bit.
So that's, and see now we actually come into play the differences between the minute differences between some of these junglers, and for a long time you saying if you want to pick Sejuani, try playing a Nautilus, but that's that was the whole point of the team comp: engage, disengage, be sneaky about it. But then again, you have a Corki get caught, things happen. But game 3. Let's get this underway. Millenium going to be on first ban, first pick. Absolute Legends, they had the option. You're going to go ahead and go for last pick, very much like the option they chose last time. They want to be in the position. They want to have the last pick. They want to have the counter pick. And all the bans going down to Vladimir, Urgot, Shen, and Soraka. Soraka, I'm surprised. I'm still surprised there actually was not a Soraka ban game 2. But now it's there. Going to go ahead, take that advantage, and also it might Morgana has also escaped the bans every time. Millenium is still on first pick. If there's not a Morgana ban here, I expect it once again to be first pick for Millenium. I mean, it's just something they're comfortable with, and it's something that actually proved to help them win game 2. And
with the Soraka ban, maybe we could see that double AD comp coming in once again, and not having to worry about the armor buff from Soraka that counters out the ADs, so successfully.
There it is.
Morgana as well, getting rid of the Morgana. So both games, we've seen Archigod play Morgana. Game 1 with Vladimir, Setliver was able to just destroy him in the mid lane with the pressure that Veggie provided in the jungle as Nocturne. So, the game 2, it didn't really work the same way. Morgana just has so much team fight, potential, has so much CC to lock people down, and then the shield for Kog'Maw. So, Morgana and Kog'Maw is always a really nice pairing. We'll see how Millenium will respond. There are a lot of options for them.
Yeah, I think an Alistar pick might actually be good. Karthus actually escaping the bans. Karthus was banned game 1 and 2. By AL, so he's actually going to go ahead and be freed up here. And Karthus is equally a safe farmer, but he's got the layaways. He can go ahead, he can farm in the mid, take out all the minions. But that seems to be really the pattern that Millenium wants to take. They want to have someone safe farming up in the mid, so you can have them for the late game to go ahead and deal all the damage necessary. So now Absolute Legends, they have to go ahead and have to think of someone who could try and shut down Karthus as much as possible. Kassadin is open, Ahri's open, Sion. I'm not sure where Sion actually fits. I'm not sure if Sion may actually be the best pick here, unless it could also be top lane. Tarek will be picked up though, so there's a lot of options for Absolute Legends. I'm not sure where they're going to be going with this. Jax top lane could actually, we've talked about Jax quite a bit in the past. He is a monster in the top lane.
Yeah, no, Jax is just almost unstoppable in a number of situations. Karthus, definitely works well against Jax, though. That's going to be a concern. Karthus, you have the AoE. We had seen the Karthus ban in the past. Was it banned game number 2? It was banned. So it was banned game 1 and 2.
Yeah, Absolute Legends banned out Karthus game 1 and 2, and now he's finally left open.
So Karthus, is just a really all-around strong champion. I think I've heard that Archigod used to be just really, well-known for his Karthus, and I'm assuming still is.
Yeah.
But against a lot of melee teams, you can just be so disruptive to have that Karthus ultimate. There are a number of champions that counter him, but the Kog'Maw. So that's actually an issue because one of the strong champions that counters Karthus is AP Kog mid, and not only do we not have that potential for Absolute Legends, but we also have the Kog'Maw in the background. And it's not the same as Morgana, it's not the same frontline CC, but you have to deal with 2 super late game hyper carries with both Kog'Maw and Karthus, and if either of them gets farmed, it's over. They're going to have to walk through the Karthus wall and walk through his AoE in order to get to Kog'Maw, and Kog'Maw is just going to be so disruptive in the back. But Jax is, he is almost an unstoppable force sometimes. So we'll see, how that works out for them. But
at the very least, there's going to be the armor shred lane bot, Tarek and Corki, going to be doing quick work if they can actually get in on the Kog'Maw. But now there's still the jungler and there's still the mid. Kassadin is open. Millenium did ban him out game 1, and there he is. And Kassadin in the mid, if you just go ahead, if you max out the E, Karthus is going to be lay wasting. You're going to be stacking it up pretty quick. Kennen is also a fantastic pick as well. You're going to go ahead and get the range harass in mid. You can go ahead and just plug away. You don't use mana, you use energy. But Nautilus there, going to go ahead, going to use a Nautilus instead of Sejuani this time. Get all that extra CC, get all those insane ganks, and that could actually work really well against the Karthus. He's not the most mobile of guys.
Yeah, Nautilus is definitely the right pick against Karthus. It's one of the strongest counters. Karthus is just so vulnerable in that mid lane. The nice thing about Kassadin, if we do see it, is both Karthus and Kog'Maw are vulnerable to that kind of assassin champion. So Kassadin, if he can, snowball, if he can do very well, he has the mobility where he can pick up quick kills and then in team fights be very effective. The issue is Kassadin versus Karthus for farming, and Kassadin, is at a definite disadvantage against Karthus in lane, even though Karthus, he doesn't win very many lane matchups, but having the melee against the Karthus, if you hit those the dots, the lay waste, then you can very easily wear him down. And in the meantime, Karthus is going to free farm. So we'll see, whether or not they decide to go with that pick or something else. Nautilus definitely works. It gives them plenty of CC. They have a lot of burst damage, so they have great pickoff. And then going with a tanky team once again, Maokai, all 3 games. Game 1 didn't really work out because of the Nocturne, but Game 2 was so effective, and then Singed in the top lane is going to be absolutely devastating.
So now it's just a matter of AL to go ahead and pick out someone who can be in the mid. Mordekaiser could actually work out to just go ahead for that push, but I'd rather see the Kassadin. There we go. Kassadin
Boom.
in
Done.
the mid. Lay waste. That's going to be more than enough to get all the charges on the E. And here's now I'm thinking now, the reasoning behind why Kog'Maw was not banned out here for game number 3, because they know Kog'Maw was really making the difference in the game, game number 2. But now you have all these picks that that AL has to go ahead straight in for the back line. Corki can Valkyrie in, Jax can leap strike in, Nautilus with a depth charge just go straight for the back line. Kassadin, he can rift walk. It's fine.
Yeah, there's really no reason to ban Nautilus or to ban Kog'Maw. And,
yeah,
Kog'Maw, there was a time where we saw him play just so successfully, and he is still extremely strong, as we saw in that last game. But against Nautilus, he's very vulnerable. Kassadin, he's also very vulnerable. So we'll see if Absolute Legends can pick up early kills. I think the lane that's probably going to be the most interesting is Jax versus Singed top. And we don't really see that matchup a lot, but it's mainly because Singed hasn't been played a lot. But if we start to see the resurgence of Singed, Jax, he wins most lane matchups, but Singed actually, has a lot of potential against Jax. So what happens is Singed is usually really weak in the first couple of levels, but he actually has a lane advantage against Jax because Jax is so weak in the early levels when he's got long cooldowns. So Singed is going to walk up, and whenever Jax tries to farm, you just pump your poison. Just real quick, you throw on a tick, and that's going to get some nice damage. Then level 2, when he walks up, you get the toss, and you pump your poison. And you're just going to be constantly wearing down Jax. So really quickly, Singed is going to take an advantage in that lane. Then it turns out, it comes down to how much damage potential does Jax have. And as it progresses, Jax is just, he's such an unstoppable beast. Like if Jax and Singed 1v1 each other, around level 7, Jax can outright win. He has so much killing potential. Though the issue is that Singed is actually too fast for Jax. So we have the slow. So if Singed stood there, then Jax would be able to win. Jax can get off the stun, get off some nice burst that way, but Singed is just going to be running around. He's going to be too fast for Jax to keep up. He's going to have the slow. He's going to have the toss to disrupt him. And so every time that Jax comes in and tries to get damage, we could very well see that exchange going in Singe's favor. So, we'll see how effective Kikis can be in that top lane. If he can farm up, if he can snowball, then very quickly that Jax pick is going to work out very well for them.
Yeah, and not to mention, Jax, the first time he goes to back, just grab the 800 gold, back, get 2 no magic mantles. It's not too uncommon for someone, top lane going against, a lot of magic damage. Just, to go ahead, start stacking build into Merc Treads and eventually into a Hex Drinker. And it should be enough to mitigate most of the poison damage. But still, though, it's still a little bit of an uphill climb. Not to mention, go later on into the team fights, you have to still deal with the Maokai ganks could actually be quite deadly top lane as well. You get the Twisted Advance in, you flip the Jax. And even then, the more distance you create for Jax away from a prospective Leap Strike target, that's a lot more time that he has to kill to go ahead and retreat. And also, he may be out of range also from some of the minions to get to safety.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of kill potential from both junglers, and that's something they're going to have to watch out for. We have a really aggressive team from Absolute Legends. We could see a level 1 invade. Maokai, he won't want to get his Twisted Advance early. We could see the toss from Singed early or the slow. So, both teams are pretty strong, but if we get someone, caught by, Taric stun, there's going to be plenty of burst damage. The silence from Kassadin is so strong, level 1 at picking up kills. So we might see them invade and slow down that blue from Maokai. So that's something to watch out for. I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting match. And if Kassadin gets going very quickly, we could see kills. We have an aggressive bottom lane, so Corki and Taric, it's easy to get kills with, and so they want to maximize the killing opportunities for Kassadin in that mid. Because Karthus is more of a farm mid, they won't actually be able to contest the blue. And so one of the things you want to do against Kassadin is you need to not let him get blue. Well, they don't have that option. Like, it's just not going to happen because Karthus can't leave lane. He's just going to put himself into a situation where he's going to die. So the fact that Karthus lacks mobility and that Kassadin has so much is really going to work in Absolute Legends' favor. But we'll see. The Karthus ultimate can always turn fights around. And again, a lot of it's going to come down to how effectively the two of them can farm in the top lane.
Yeah, Kassadin definitely has that more personal touch when he goes in for ganks in other lines. Karthus, he's just, lazy, just R. Just even go ahead and get that. Kassadin, you have to be a little bit more sneaky. But there is a lot more potential for Kassadin if he decides to go ahead and leave lane. It's just, and we've discussed this before, if you're an AP and you're leaving lane and you're looking for ganks, you need to make sure you secure the kill. Otherwise, you're going to be returning to lane, you're going to be down on CS, you're going to be down on gold, and your lane's going to be pushed up as well. So it's, if Slaver can actually go ahead and get those kills, he can actually, things could sway either way. And, we've seen both these previous games. This is a fantastic series. This is a hard one to call, man. This is a hard one to call.
Yeah, it's really just that Absolute Legends has a really nice snowball team, and they have plenty of CC as well. The issue is late game, Millenium. We've seen some great Karthus play recently. The Acer versus WinFact matches, Karthus is just such a monster, and it's going to be, tough for them to deal with Karthus late game, particularly since a lot of their team needs to get in close range. So they're all going to be walking right into his AoE. He's going to be able to hit off the slow. Corki will be caught in the slow as well. If they can catch the Corki in the slow, force Corki to Valkyrie, and then maybe follow it up with a Twisted Advance onto Jax or something like that, they can disrupt Absolute Legends' fight in such an aggressive manner. And then Cog and Karthus late game, how strong they are, how tanky Singed is. So Absolute Legends, they want to snowball this game quickly. We'll see how it works out for them. We got the we got the match coming on. We're coming into game number 3. I want to I'm not watching the chat. I'm sure Nick Allen probably is out there. So I just want to see a drum roll. If we get a drum roll going in the chat, we've got it in here. We're good.
But yeah,
we're heading to game number 3. It's going to be really cool.
Karthus, and we saw, if you want to know how ridiculous Kog'Maw can be in the late game, see game 2. With the Baron buff, we saw Kog'Maw getting 1,000 damage crits on auto attacks on minions. It was just absolutely absurd. But Kassadin is one of those champs you also see banned a lot in solo queue, and for good reason, because if he gets 1 kill, he gets 2 kills, he can snowball pretty ridiculously far out. Same thing as Jax. Jax, if he gets a kill top lane, he just goes ahead, takes that advantage, and just runs with it. But still, though, Karthus, you get your farm Singed. Saw last game too. He can get pretty damn tanky.
Yeah.
And you know,
we have a much nicer mix of damage though this game than we did last game, and we have an easier way of engaging on the Kog'Maw in the back. And the issue is that Kog'Maw was so safe all of last game, and he's still really safe with this team. However, with the Nautilus and with the Kassadin, we could see some really dangerous engages on the Kog'Maw.
Here we go, game number 3. Veggie going to be on the Nautilus this time. And, you know, we had a little bit of discussion before, you know, going over the pros and cons of Sejuani, the Sejuani pick game, too. And, you know, and overall, you know, you have the extra escape, but this time, we mentioned before, Nautilus, when he goes in for a gank, granted, provided that's a lot of CC he's providing, that's a commitment. That's a commitment you're making to the gank, to the kill, and it's going to be a little more difficult for you to get out of those if things happen to go wrong. But
and
Pings,
Singed actually got a peek of them, so they wanted to get in that hard gank from the top river. A lot of times you can come down at the blue and, you know, really aggressively invade there. But the quick peek, they have the vision. Janna actually throwing the ward down, so they want to see, okay, we have the vision here. Singed can watch the alleyway coming up to the top river, and we see the bottom of the top river. So we have both entrances covered. We know that Maokai is going to be safe to get his blue now.
So Ping's still going down on AL over at the enemy blue, but they're just going to go ahead. They're going to be safe. Leiwei's going down just to make sure that no one's in the bush. And you know, it looks like, you know, both junglers are going to be safe. They're going to be fine. Going to be able to secure the blues pretty easy. And you know, I mean, also, I want to note here from Najik here, both games. No, actually, pretty much like every game here, like the amount of saplings being put down is extremely minimal. And actually, see, bought the Q first this time for the Arcane Smash. So I mean, he's going to have a lot of help from his friends, from his team to go ahead and secure blue quickly. And even like, saplings, a lot of times are, you know, really vital for getting those initial camps. But gonna go ahead with the Q and see what that is. Actually, with that, could actually see him buy Twisted Advance second, go for a quick gank, level 2 either in the mid or in top.
Yeah, Kiki's, I would really expect it top lane.
Yeah.
They're going to want to watch out there. We do see, you know, Kog and Janna are a little bit slow to go to bottom because they wanted to provide some pressure for Maokai top. Once again, we have Kiki's checking on the blue, so he has an idea of what's going on. But, you know, Corki and Tarek, they're going to hit level 2 first. They will have a little bit of an advantage there. We have the stun for Kiki, so the stun will help him protect against ganks. And Maokai not going to be heading up there, so he is going to be fine.
Yeah, I think, you know, with the Jacks taking a peek at what they were doing, you know, probably saw them, you know, do a smash. It was like, okay, you know what, the plan's been caught out. Knows they got Q first. You didn't see any saplings. He knows that I'm probably going to try for a level 2, but, you know, well, I'll show him. I'll get saplings and just, you know, start farming up, get level 3, get red buff, and go from there.
Yeah, and Corki Tarek, they actually have a nice advantage over Kog and Janna. So Janna, you know, with the shield, Corki can pop it very easily. We'll be really aggressive against Corki because there's no heal. And Corki, when his W is down, actually only has 500 attack range. And so, Kog, when his W is down, has 500 attack range, whereas Corki has 550. So he has the harass advantage too.
Yep,
can just continue wearing down Kog'Maw in this lane very aggressively.
Yep, 2 shots, the shield is gone, and that's a lot that Dax has to do to try and recover from that. So, you know, leveling up the shield first as a Janna in bot lane is a pretty common thing to do, but still at these early levels, it's a lot of damage. The stun in 1 auto attack, the shield's gone already. Yeah,
we did have the you know, the break shield from Tarek. He's able to use his W to pop it there. And then the armor shredding combo, they're going to have so much kill potential as the game progresses. Maokai is coming down here, but we have the nice ward from Tarek. It's not in the bush, but if he's coming through, they will see him, so he is going to be safe. And we're starting to see some of that harass from Karthus in the mid lane, but Kassadin's doing a pretty decent job of kind of trying to avoid it there.
He's still actually getting pretty chunked out, even at his own tower by the Leiwei. And granted, he does actually have, you know, innate magic resistance.
Maokai is coming in on Corki.
Coming around, Magic gonna get Valkyrie going away, waiting for the Valkyrie and to go ahead and get the Twisted Advance. And there's the Q to go ahead and keep him still. The double buff doing work, and the first blood going to the Maokai. Nice gank. And that ward, if that ward was in the Tribrush and not in the lane, that could have been avoided, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they had the vision, you know, of him coming down, but not enough time. Veggie actually going to get the pull into Archigod, and there's plenty of kill potential here. If we have the silence and the ignite, Kassadin going to get out of there. It does have the ignite, maybe going to burst down Archigod, but Veggie is very close to going down as well.
No.
Throws off the slow, but unfortunately he does go down, and Najik picked it up. So if Archigod had picked it up, that would have been just devastating. But another kill to Maokai. So Maokai has such a huge early advantage once again in this game.
Yep.
And it's going to be extremely difficult now now for them to, not fall behind off of that. But we'll have to see. He is going to get some nice quick gold, get a Philosopher's Stone when he goes back.
Yeah, he's nearly doubled the gold already on the enemy jungler, and that's a healthy start. That's a really healthy start to have. But a lot of aggressive junglers can really benefit from that. Maokai, though, he's there for the ganks, he's there for the utility, but with that he can definitely deal a whole lot of damage off this. He's in the lane. Kiki's does not know, waiting for him to get aggressive. If you can get a flip from Fiaz, that would be amazing. But for the meantime, though,
he has to suspect, though, and you see he's playing so defensively because he knows how much Maokai's been pressuring the map.
There you go.
He knows it's 5 minutes in and he doesn't have a ward yet, so he's like, okay, I can't really pressure this. We have the ping going off. Najik is like, hey, why don't you run into that bush for me?
Yeah,
but didn't happen. So Jax is going to be fine. He's going to be able to get down the ward coverage, and it is wasting some of Maokai's time, which is nice.
And there's that first null magic mantle I was talking about earlier. So a little bit extra magic resist, trying to mitigate some of the magic damage coming in from the top blade. But also you get the Doran's blade, you get a little bit extra health, you get a little extra damage. Not too uncommon to stack maybe 2 or sometimes even 3 of these on a Jax, just to get a little bit more of that early game advantage. But Nautilus actually being caught out by the ward in the jungle. They know he's actually wandering up around to the top lane, so Fiaz might just have to exercise a little bit more caution in the next minute.
Yeah, and it's going to allow Jax to be aggressive here and farm, but Singe was probably going to go back already. So he did push up to the tower. He does want to try and deny some of that farm from Jax. He is actually going to hang out a little bit, so he's going to be fine. No, he is recalling, so he can get like a Philosopher's Stone or something. At this point, he probably has enough gold for it. It's pretty close, but he will be fine. Yep, Philosopher's Stone. So there it goes.
Yep.
And we'll be fine. I'm kind of curious how Kassadin's going to be able. Actually, Kassadin building towards the fast catalyst. So
yeah,
that's a really common build in Kassadin. We have seen it for a while, but we have seen some Kassadins go with gold for 10 items recently. You go tier into a triple gold for 10. Since you kind of want to just farm, but it reduces some of his early killing potential. But Celiver, one more Q, will be able to get this. Actually, Rift walking into Archangod, but right into the Maokai, able to pick him up, and actually the flash will go down. Karthus not able to grab it with his ultimate.
Wow, what a Magic being a little bit of a jerk there. He was like, no, that's mine, gimme. Give it to the tree, but...
I thought that Celiver was going to be able to do it.
I thought I was waiting for the walk. I was waiting for Rift walk, but Ignite was actually still down, and I was just waiting. Like, where's the Ignite? I was like, oh, it's down. It's unfortunate, but still,
well, I thought that just the silence would have been able to do it.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
We see Jax and Singe dueling off in the top, and Jax able to leap to the minions, so he is going to be safe there. But this is the point where Singe just is so aggressive against Jax, and Jax doesn't have enough damage output to chase him down and fight him, and he doesn't have enough regen to deal with the poison. We do see Nautilus coming up here. The ward does catch him. But the Nautilus pressure up top, even if they're not able to get kills, it allows Jax time to farm, and it allows time for Singe to not be so aggressive. And we see Kassadin coming down with such an aggressive bottom lane. He wants some kills.
Slaver is there. He's in the far bush waiting for his right opportunity. There is a ward in the bottom bush, but it seems like trying to not push the lane as hard. But Kassadin, he's waiting for his opportunity because he needs to now catch up. He gave the kill to Karthus and Maokai back in there in the mid, but now he's just hopping back in the lane and going to go ahead and wander back onto greener pastures, because right now Karthus is actually going to go ahead and grab the blue buff, so he's going to be there in mid farming a little bit more effectively. 39 to 40. It's even. The farm is pretty much even in the lane, but we have 2 assists on Karthus right now, and that's good, and that adds up. And he's already got his catalyst. Kassadin has not bought his yet. He actually spent a little bit of money on wards and extra red pots, but still though, a lot of damage going down. And now Kassadin, he's rethinking his position.
Yeah, I mean, he really just wants to sit back and farm for a little bit.
Yeah.
Get his early mana pull up. He will be able to get that blue shortly from Nautilus. I'm surprised they haven't passed it yet, but they will, pass that over shortly. So, that's going to be fine. Jax doing a decent job. Is keeping up with farm with Singe. However, Singe is able to build into this gold pretends. We actually have the stun, so Cog can take some nice damage there, but it's not quite enough. And then Cog able to reciprocate onto Corki, getting some nice burst there. The issue with Jax versus Singe is not only is Singe at an advantage in the lane early, but Singe can also build in those gold pretends. So even if Jax, does really well and is able to win the lane or keep even in farm, Singe is always going to be ahead as far as farm is concerned.
That early oracles onto the Maokai.
You've seen it every game.
Seen it every game, and especially now because you're so far ahead. You're 3-0-0. You can go ahead and afford to buy stuff like that. It's like, the man's going down into town. Ward going down to bot bush. Just Veggie just gets caught out. It's like, blast you, Lord. My plan's been foiled. And now AL's in a bit of a pickle because they're hunting for kills, they're hunting for ways to try and catch up. Dragon would be a fantastic way to go ahead and regain some of the gold lost over those early 3 kills. And even at top lane 62 to 65, farm is pretty much even for the most part. It's just all that extra gold is really from the kills.
Yeah, and the fact that Singe now has 2 gold pretends, so that's going to continue building up. Maokai, he has his 2 gold pretends as well, so he's doing fine. Nautilus, Singe starting to be really aggressive. Nautilus does have the red though, so he will be able to come up here in a second, but Singe can just kind of run around, clear the creep waves, deal some damage to Jax. But you're starting to see Jax now has a little bit of that burst. So with that burst, if he can start being more aggressive against Singe, he could maybe take that lane back into his favor. But Singe almost immediately is able to heal back up.
Yeah, so he's got the pickaxe. Jax is looking to go for the cutlass first, get a little bit of slow, get a little bit extra damage in there. And then from there, it's you don't have to go ahead and necessarily finish it done with, but there is the hook coming in from Reggie down onto Arc of God. We'll actually get away pretty safe. Everything, all the cooldowns are down, but it's fine. It's free and easy away. But there's Tarek with the ult stun, trying to get the kill onto the Kog'Maw, but heal just in the nick of time, going to keep him safe. But still, he's pretty hurt at the moment.
We didn't use the Corki Ignite either, so that actually might have been a kill. But once again, we have the engage from Maokai, but we will have the Rift Walk. But actually, the Rift Walk able to get away from that twisted advance.
I thought Maokai would have actually followed him through that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. But I think he it was just like a weird timing.
He was waiting. I mean, he was clearly waiting for it. He was clearly waiting for it because Nautilus was right there, and they could have just CC'd him and kept him there. But yeah, for some reason, Maokai actually didn't go to distance.
And we are seeing bottom lane, Corki, pushing really aggressively into Kog'Maw. So not, that's often what you want to do when you have a really aggressive lane. Just push them right into their tower. As we kind of said last game, it doesn't give them opportunities to drop down wards for your support. So we don't have any ward coverage right now. It will allow Nautilus to engage once that ward in the bush is dead, and then it also denies a lot of that farm from Kog'Maw.
So still a lot of push going on. Actually, Singe is actually keeping Jax pretty close onto his own tower, 83, 81. But farm is still ridiculously even, and now Caston's actually getting a little bit of time to himself in the mid, a little bit of time to go ahead farm, push up the wave, get a little bit more XP for himself. Farm still even, but like I said, the extra assists onto Karthus is actually going to be still making the difference for the time being. Actually did not go for the catalyst, actually built into a tier, but we may actually see another Sapphire Crystal bot may actually just go for tier and catalyst, might as well get a little bit extra tank here, get all that banding you need.
Yeah, that's definitely the really common build. And just the tier, well, actually we have Oracle's pop, so nice little job by Veggie there. He will be able to counter out some of those wards. He knows for the longest time he wants to be aggressive, but he can't get in and engage on anyone because of the great ward coverage from Millenium, so he's going to be fine there. The Catalyst is a little bit safer of an item. It means that you're kind of looking to sit there and farm a little bit more. It gives you the lane regen, which is really nice to have. And so that's definitely the benefit of that. But tier, it builds up. If you're looking to be aggressive with ganks, you'll have the large mana pool a little bit faster.
So Arc of God is definitely throwing his weight around into the mid, but top lane, there's Maokai and Singe. The Insanity Potion has been popped. Kiki's will leap strike to a minion, but there's the stun. Just a little bit to not quick enough. Is the flash still available? No, it is not, but the Karthus ult will go ahead and secure that. Almost. There we go. One smack. Just a plus with the shield, but it's actually still top way to Janna ult being forced, but Nautilus is not too far away, but there's a ward in the bush. He's going to have to go ahead and clear that away.
They could actually go for Dragon.
They could Dragon.
But I don't know, maybe they won't because Kassadin's not there because Maokai stopped. So, it's kind of unfortunate a lot of times when you see aggression from a jungler, you kind of want to be able to take objectives around the map. Kiki's actually probably could have lived there, and I'm a little bit surprised. If he had thrown off his stun, he had to wait for it to come back up, I'm assuming.
Right.
But if he had waited for his stun, thrown off his stun, turn back into Singe, and get the max range on the stun, it's actually a little bit longer than the Singe toss is. So even the Singe toss it's so ridiculous how long the range is. Like whenever you get tossed, like seriously.
Come on.
Seriously.
Come on.
If he had gotten the stun off first and then leap striked onto the minions or then flashed, then he actually would have been able to get out of there. But with the exhaust, with the chasing power of Singe, it's just so much pressure. And we actually see, bot just abusing this bottom turret. And actually now that Tarek is tanking it, we're going on to Kog'Maw. We have the Ignite. Maokai coming in. So Tarek is very close to going down, but gets off the heal, and Kog'Maw does go down. And Tarek has actually gotten out of there.
but now Corki
Corki's
is
in
a
a bit of a
man
spot.
without a country. He has no home. He's being chased down by
Valkyrie's up,
Maokai.
though.
He has no mana, so it doesn't even
Yeah.
matter. He's going to go down.
This might as well just go straight to the turret.
An even exchange, except that now the kill is going on to Maokai. So Maokai is continuing to snowball 4-0 and 1. He has the mobility boots to be really aggressive. We'll see if we can get a gank mid with the silence to prevent, Karthus from being able to flash out of there.
Archigod does get, just takes a quick Q to the face, quick little orb, but still, the damage is not a whole lot, because right now Cassidy's been focusing on just building
with the
real
ignite,
stats.
he's so close to picking up that kill, just barely can't grab it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but still though, forcing Archigod to back by casting a little bit more time in lane, a little bit of time for him to catch up. Karthus has a level advantage on him still, just now trying to catch up and farm. It's going to be a little bit of a battle, but going to grab the blue buff, but hey, Dragon is actually still around here. Ward going down, Nautilus will be able to pick it up, and Veggie's been on quite a bit of ward duty lately.
And despite the advantages for Karthus in lane, Kassadin has just done a fantastic job of keeping up the farm, and now we're going to start to see that mobility from Kassadin. Yeah, great ward duty, by the supports so far, and the nice little Dragon to get them, back in this game.
Yeah.
They're only 2k down, but now we're going to start seeing that mobility and that, kill pressure from Absolute Legends, because, Millenium, they really need to sit back and farm for a little bit more, and Karthus, isn't very mobile, so we'll see if they can grab that. The hook from Veggie to get him out of it, but Singe is actually going for it, so forcing the flash. We would have had the toss into the Maokai Twisted Advance, so he wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, good call. Nice flash away from Veggie, just right in the nick of time. But Magic is here, wandering towards the bot lane, and Super A's and Elite Random have no idea here. The ward was placed into Tribrush this time, not in the lane, and here comes the Maokai Twisted Advance. We're going to focus down, going to go straight on in for the Corki, but looks like Tarek will be able to go down fine just on his own. Kog'Maw will go ahead and be able to secure that kill, but waiting for the CC here onto Elite Random, or we're just going to go ahead and keep him a little bit at bay. There is the Karthus ult, and that will be enough.
Yeah, and so despite the, how aggressive Corki and Tarek have been in that bottom lane, Maokai once again coming in, and, we don't have any ward coverage for the river. We have the Tribush, but we need a ward by mid to prevent Maokai from being able to enter the river. He came right down, so he was fine. And now, with lanes dead or with lanes pushed, it denies opportunities from AL. So, Kassadin, he would maybe want to roam, maybe want to try and go bot, but there's not really a whole lot of options here. He will go back, trying to build into that rod. How much gold does he actually offer that rod? So he's actually 800 off, so, it will be a little bit, but even so, he's doing a decent job.
Boots.
So boots definitely, make a little bit more sense, give you that mobility and that burst damage early on.
Yeah, because Karthus, right now, you saw the harass just now, Kassadin trying to defend his own turret, but he just cannot walk away from those layways. They're just so well timed and so well positioned, and he's just getting free damage off of the Kassadin and forcing them back. And with that, they're going to go ahead and pick up the mid turret pretty convincingly. So now's an opportunity for Kassadin. He could roam around for a little bit longer if he wants to, but he hasn't been getting a whole lot out of it. He's 0-1-0, no assists, no kills. He had some presence in the bot lane earlier and didn't capitalize on anything. There could be an opportunity for him to free farm in mid if Karthus himself decides to roam around a little bit, but still, though, that still have to be said, and there's still a pretty hefty lead onto the Karthus right now.
Yeah, we actually might see a tower dive bottom, but we see Singe just constantly wearing down this Jax, just tossing him around, getting that poison damage, and they are actually going to tower dive. Nautilus coming in from behind, and Cog, there is no hope for him. We have the Nautilus ultimate, and then Corki with the follow-up, so very quickly they are going to be able to burst him down.
They saw how much of a threat the Kog'Maw can be game 2, and they just want to go ahead and ensure that he stays under-farmed, under-leveled. Right now, he's in terms of farm, Corki, now about 30 creeps up on the Kog'Maw, not to mention, 2 kills as opposed to, 1 kill and 2 assists onto the Kog'Maw. But still, though, it's this is setting the precedent for the bot lane for the next few minutes. I mean, still, 2 towers may actually be gone for Absolute Legends, but they can go ahead and with aggressive ganks with the Nautilus can go ahead and start catching up and putting themselves right back into this game. They're still 3k behind, but fantastic ward duty. Fantastic ward duty.
The big thing is where's the gold being placed. So
Right.
they're 3K behind, but
kills.
If you look at Kog'Maw versus Corki, wow, that was interesting. When you look at Kog'Maw versus Corki. Corki is well ahead of Kog'Maw at this point in time, and so we'll have a little bit more damage in those mid-team fights. Kog'Maw has plenty of damage though. He has the zeal, so with his W, he's going to be dishing out a ton of pain. You look at Singe versus Jack's top; they're actually very even. So we will actually have him chasing him down.
There's the Cutlass. Go
the
try
toss,
and get the
kill.
Nice. The toss followed up by the leaf strike. We'll actually be able to get the kill onto Singe, but now he's now has
Well,
the
if
deal
he just
with
kites
the
to
tree.
Nautilus, he's going to have the follow-up.
Nautilus is here. He can get the hook. Oh, nice flash just in time to get away from
and
the
so,
hook.
Jax is fine top. Corki is at an advantage bottom. All the gold is on Maokai, and Maokai is going to be incredibly tanky and aggressive, but even so, he's not your main threat. He's not your, super carry. So we'll see how it's going to work out, but Absolute Legends still has a really strong team fight team through this mid game. They have so much mobility. They can just constantly pressure Millenium, and this is where they want to try and make things happen. This is where they want to try and get kills. Kassadin is doing fine. He's looking pretty. He wants to make things happen. Nautilus coming mid. They're actually going to push this tower pretty aggressively, even though it's Karthus and Cog, so they can clear the waves pretty easily.
Right now, a lot of the hope though on this game is a little bit more onto Corki. Like game 2, he was one of the primary damage dealers. Now this game, he's the most fed. He's got the most kills. He's working towards the most damage.
But Jax has been doing a phenomenal time top lane, and so it's actually interesting. Neither Jax nor Singed has gotten the upper hand against each other. They've both been farming very well. We saw that Jax kill a second ago, and now Jax is at that point where he can duel with Singed very easily. And the Gunblade is actually really interesting. A lot of times, we've seen a lot of different Jax builds, and a lot of times you maybe build the Cutlass and then go straight into the Triforce, which is actually a little bit more common build. It is very strong. Gunblade has fallen off. It was nerfed, so it hasn't been that popular, but it's still a really strong transition for Jax. And the big thing is he knows he's going to be dueling with Singe constantly. We'll see whether or not they actually have a fight here. We have Kassadin throwing off the slow, so they will back off. Against Singe, he's going to get low, so with the Gunblade, you have a little bit more, sustain. You have a little bit more health.
Is getting ready to pinch someone, and Arcagod's trying to retreat the wrong way, and there's a Jax there, just there to capitalize. Corki Valkyrie's in and ensures the kill, but the rest of Millenium is not too far behind. Jax flashes over the wall to save the depth charge going down onto the Kog'Maw, and Jax is there along with
and then the toss back.
Nice toss back, almost to safety there, and Kassadin's there still pursuing onto these kills, but the Singe is a little bit too tanky. Don't want to die to that poison, so AL's just going to go ahead and back off and take their 2 free kills with them.
AOL coming back.
AOL coming back.
AOL coming back very slowly.
AOL's coming back.
It was a slow build-up. AL coming back with a vengeance. The Jax Gunblade, it allows him to just constantly keep his health up so high, and he doesn't want to enter fights. It's all about how you enter fights, and if you're going to be entering fights too low, we do see Millenium kind of pressuring this, but it should be fine. It should be a free dragon. So with that Gunblade, he can always enter fights at full health, so he doesn't want to enter at half health and then maybe be bursted down. He's going to be very strong. We have the Triforce onto Corki, so Corki is doing his fair share of damage. We have a really late cages actually going off on the Kassadin. So the benefit there is that we're going to have that Deathfire's Grasp, and he knows he wants to be an assassin. He wants to just be able to burst people down extremely quickly. He's going to have that once he finishes that up. And it's so much burst and so much killing potential, and Jax is, a beast. So we'll see how it works out for them. He's actually coming back in. We have the stun going off, the toss from Fiaz, and then the follow-up with the Twisted Advance from Najik, and Jax is very close to going down and does fall. Now we have the hook from Veggie going to get himself out of there, but the toss back once again from Fiaz. So there's another 2 kills. Arcagod with the AoE.
Trading back and forth is like 2 kills for 2 kills. The wall of pain in the AoE from Karthus actually just did wonders for that fight, because Jax, if he wants to go in, wants to try and get in someone, he has to go ahead and leap strike in, and sometimes it can put him out of position like there. And
that's the issue. We actually have Fiaz taking some tower damage, will be bursted down, so the quick turnaround once again from Absolute Legends. That's the issue with Jax versus Karthus, is Jax is that melee, you're walking in super ace. He actually wants this. He has the flash if he wants to go after it, but will back off. Janna with the passive is just too fast. So Jax, the melee versus Karthus,
you're walking right into Karthus's poison. You're walking right into Singe's poison. And then you have to consider that the best way to beat Jax is to kite him out in these fights, not allow him to get the engages. He does have a pretty short cooldown on his leap strike. It's like 6 seconds, and then with cooldown reduction lower. But when we have the Wall of Pain, 60% slow late game, when we have Singed is slow. Singed is slow is like 60% also, and we have it is some nice farm.
That is a massive snack for Jax in the bot lane. That's like 3 bags of Cheetos worth of snacks for
and
the
he
Jax.
needs it because there's just so much disable and so much slow for Millenium that if he can't get in these fights and burst people down, things could be very difficult for them. But they can split push them. They know the rest of their team are strong enough where, even though Karthus and Cog are very strong at doing Baron, they can't 4v5 Baron. So Jack's just going to push down that bottom lane, get some momentum, and then group up with his team again.
Yeah, and there's still the tier 1 in mid to contest with. Tier 1 in mid and bot for Absolute Legends is down. So right now, the gold has actually returned to even, returned to neutral. So one tower here from Absolute Legends can actually start the swing into their favor. And right now, mid is actually a pretty high piece of real estate there. But there's Singe from the river, the hook from Nullis on the fallen tower. Good grab there to get away. You can still grab onto those, by the way. There's still terrain. But Fiaz getting out in front, looking for the flip, looking for the grab anything, but the silence from Casson will go ahead and fall him back. But all the while, the lanes are pushing at Corki is top lane, getting the turrets, getting the farm. Wall of Pain going down on the mid tier 2, and Malka is trying to make something happen here, but the wave may actually be cleared very soon. Kog'Maw trying to get some free damage on the turret. There's the stun onto the Kog'Maw, but no follow-up there. And Corki has actually backed, going to be rejoining with the rest of the team. Last Whisper. We got some armor. We got the chain vest onto the Singed. Also chain vest onto the Maokai. Very similar to what happened last game. He knows that they're going to be building Tiki. He knows that they're going to be stacking armor. He's getting that in anticipation of.
Yeah, we actually see Nautilus trying to get some damage on this mid tower, but they kind of need to back off. They're trying to see if they can pick anyone off, if anyone from Millenium gets out of position. But the issue is that we have a lot of nice kiting potential from Millenium. We have, the Karthus wall. We have Janna for the disengage. And so if we can't, get Millenium out in the open where we can have a full fight, then all of a sudden Absolute Legends has to, just constantly pull back into the Singe poison, which has the slow from Rylai's, into, Karthus. They're just going to be losing these long fights if they can't pick people off. So they know that they can't chase, they can't do a hard engage, they need to wait for their time and then see if they can grab people out in the open.
Not to mention that, now because of Jackson, because of Corki doing his split pushes earlier, now you see the waves actually pushing on over into the towers, splitting Millenium's attention away. There was a little bit of a moment there, and that would have actually been a good time.
Oh, they had a
push.
moment.
They still have time because Kog'Maw is actually getting the red, and Singed is actually joining just now. So this is the moment. This is an opportunity for them to go ahead, sneak in, grab the mid turret. Nautilus unfortunately was taking it for it, and there we go. There's the timing. There's a timing attack. There's a timing push from the earlier farm.
Yeah, and so able to take down all 3 outer turrets. That's going to be huge for map control, but then also the fact that they want to have fights out in the open, and they can't, because, like I said, Millenium has that kiting potential. They don't want to be kiting back into turrets. And so now with those turrets down, they know if Millenium is pushing up, then they can engage, not have to worry about, them pulling back into their base. And we'll see. It's going to allow so much more aggression. We have Tarek with the Zeke's Herald, actually, so really quick buy. And the nice thing with that is how strong it is going to make Jax. And Jax, he needs to just sit there and be tanking up front. A lot of that has to do with him just getting off lots of life steal. So having that sustain from the Zeke's Herald and from the Gunblade is going to be huge in those fights, to couple with the burst that they have. We'll see how it works out. If he can get onto Karthus or Kog'Maw, then they can just basically insta-kill them. And Karthus, not as much of a priority because the passive is just going to wreck their face, but we'll see if they can get onto Kog'Maw and maybe pick up some kills.
I'm also noticing, taking another quick look at the XP in the farm, Kiki's is actually almost level 18. Jax is almost level 18.
Yeah.
Corki right now, he's halfway to 17, and there's a lot of farm going on from Absolute Legends here.
Yeah, and Kog'Maw is only 14.
Yeah.
Karthus is 15, which is about where he should be, but Jax is definitely in a position of strength in this game.
And that's just what Jax says. The Shirelia is being popped there from Millennium. They want to get something. There's a flip. They're trying to focus down to Jax, but Tarek is still there trying to get the stuns while he can. Corki is split away from the rest of the team, trying to deal with Sinj, and Tarek should be going down pretty quick. Cogma is here in the back line. Janna ult dispersing everyone really quick, but Tarek should actually still be going down. He's the first one to go. But Sinj actually getting very low, and the leap strike from Jax will go ahead and finish him off. Cassin is caught out a little bit too far, but Kog'Maw, he is slowed just for a moment. He does have to flash away to try and regain his position. Nautilus cannot get the hook off in time before the artillery finishes his face off. But now Jax caught out in front. The Twisted Advance will not be doing a whole lot, and the Kog'Maw
there's no mana on the Karthus, so as long as Corki holds off a second, wait for your team to get back into base. He doesn't want to kill him yet. He actually is going to kill him. So we'll see. I think that Cass should be okay with the passive, but it's going to be very close.
Yeah,
so he is okay with the passive. He's fine. Corki, but Corki recognized, all right, I don't have to rush to get this Karthus kill. I know Karthus is dead already. He's out of mana. Let me go and see if I can chase down Janna. And so he was fine there, then picking up the kill. And you saw a sigh of relief.
That's a close call, man.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I just imagine, I'm sure they were sitting there talking on vent right there, and
it's like, no, don't do it.
Corki's like, hey, can I kill him? Can I kill him, bro? Can I kill him? And Cass is like, no, wait, no, don't kill him. Yes, okay, yes, you can kill him. So, yeah, so
that's a slow motion, no, don't do it.
Yeah, the big thing is they have so much, follow-up damage in these long fights, and the team that Absolute Legends have, it's really great in disorganized fights. So, Millennium, they need that organization. They need to have Karthus in the front just, destroying everyone with his AoE damage. They need to have Cog in the back safe. But once that organization is broken up, so even though Millennium, they started off and they were winning the fight very well, you saw Tarek in the back, surviving a little bit longer than I think they expected, but still going down. And then, the rest of the team they were all kind of organized. They broke them down. So Tarek in the back with the rest of them split. It split up Absolute Legends, or it split up Millennium. Once they were able to pick up the kills onto Sinj, they were able to be a little bit more aggressive with their disorganized kind of team and chase them down with the Corki and with the Jax and with the Kassadin, and then pick up those kills. And they've brought themselves back into this game. They were down by 4K. Now they are up by 4K. And we'll see how Millennium can deal with it. They have plenty of damage on the Cog.
Baiting out, trying to find something, but the sticky trap and the artillery will see Absolute Legends there. But also, you also notice for a lot of that fight, Corki and Sinj were off, being silly in the forest around here for most of the fight, distracting one of the most one of the frontline champs from Millennium and one of the big damage dealers on Absolute Legends, just staying isolated. And in a situation like that, Sinj actually got pretty low. And and that also allowed Corki to just go ahead and safely rejoin the fight with superior positioning in the back and able to just go ahead and kill whoever needed to be killed.
Yeah, and it's the nice mix of damage. And even though Sinj is really tanky, he's not unkillable like he was last game. So they can take him down.
And not to mention the nice preemptive purchase of the Last Whisper from Corki as well, just mitigating all of the armor being purchased from Maokai and from the Singed. The random
Jax is he on the Baron?
Jax,
he is. They're going for the
Baron.
Hell
yeah, he's on the Baron. He's Jax, of course.
Hell
he's on the Baron.
Hell yeah. He's going to be taken down pretty quickly, but he is actually getting kind of low. Tarek is not there, so they don't have the heal. Singed is a little bit far behind. We'll see if they engage this.
Tarek could go in for the pinch and get the stun summon. That chained the CC, keeping the Kog'Maw busy on the back line with the Tarek, but Karthus will actually be going down first, and Kiki's will not be able to rejoin the fight. Karthus ult will not be able to get anything from that, but Kog'Maw is now being a monster. The Twisted Advance going down onto the Kassadin, and the flip away from the tree. Kog'Maw will still go down. Valkyrie back over the wall, and Jan is actually going to get trapped. The Monsoon will not be doing much, waiting for the stun. You get the Shattered. There you go. Jan is going to be kept still.
But Corki needs to keep on moving because now we have the Maokai Twisted Advance. We're going to get the toss from Sinj. Corki right in the face of Sinj, trying to wear him down. Actually, very close. Does get the double kill. Can he stay alive? Najik is all out of mana, and now Corki has enough sustain with that Zeke's Herald. Will be able to pick it up.
Wow.
So even though it looked like that fight was completely won for Millennium, the long fight for Absolute Legends with Mr. Leet Random. I'm not sure if that's his name. I really need to figure that out.
He is
indeed Leet Random. And all three games, he's looked so strong. Ezreal in game number 2, almost pulling it out for him.
The best part
they're
about
able
the
to
fight,
pick up those kills.
The best part about that fight, remember, Valkyrie is more than just an escape option. It actually still does damage. And a lot of abilities may seem like they don't do a whole lot of damage, but they still do damage. And in fights like that, it can absolutely make a difference. Things like Graves, the smokescreen, still does damage wherever it lands. Valkyrie, that fire trail, still does damage. And that was just all the damage necessary to continue the fight, to keep going, and keep the sustain up and allow Tarek to just go in and
I just
rejoin.
love the, Corki pulling Kog'Maw, and when they're all kind of chasing him, pulling him into the back of that blue wall. So he's able to pick up the Cog kill and then get out of there last second. But the big thing is they can't lose the early parts of those fights so, poorly. And I'm a little bit surprised by the pickup of the Banshee's Veil on Jax. It gives him a lot of HP, which is nice. The Banshee's Veil itself isn't really going to do a whole lot. It means that Singed and Maokai can't pick him off.
Yeah.
But, Kog'Maw should be able to pop that pretty easily. And if you go something like GA, then you can win these longer fights. And we see Absolute Legends, they're winning the longer fights. If he goes GA, he can survive through the Karthus ult. He can survive through the Karthus passive and then win the long fights. But, if they can win with Corki, they can.
But also remember, this is post-chain Jax. All that extra damage does not give him all the health and mana he needs. But there you go, going for a fight straight in. And Fiaz, the first one to actually melt the Nautilus ult, goes straight on in to the Kog'Maw. They want to focus him down. They want to get him out of here as quickly as possible. Karthus is also down trying to get the ult, but will not be able to get anything off of that. The stun from Tarek actually focusing down onto the Maokai. He will not be getting away either, and that is another ace.
Yeah, just
Absolute
great
Legends.
initiation. Actually, if we could take a look back a second and take a look at this fight, we saw, the hard initiation. And so all that burst, the Deathfire's Grasp,
all that.
Fiaz is just like, what the hell just happened? And,
like, I'm singed.
Without Singed, the big thing is they're kiting Karthus. So Karthus is actually only fighting Corki in the top there while Jax is safe. And the thing is, they got Jax out of the Karthus AoE. And if Jax is sitting there fighting against Karthus, then Jax would go down. They don't get the damage against Kog. And that's what we saw in the previous fight. But because Karthus was actually chasing after Corki, Corki was just kiting him, laughing to himself. He's like, are you serious? I'm Corki. I have the Valkyrie. They're able to pick up the Baron now. And they, are looking pretty good for this game. We'll have to see what Millenium can do, because Millenium still has, great late game. They still have a really tanky team.
That's
a surrender.
The surrender.
So it's done.
It is done.
They're satisfied, I guess. I thought that we would see a couple more fights, but
hey, you know what? Millennium, they knew it was over.
That fight was pretty brutal. I mean, Kassadin just absolutely I think it was the Kassadin on Singed. Like, Singed was just like, seriously,
well, it's like,
what the hell just happened? The Deathfire's Grasp into the Singe, silence and everything, and then the follow-up chasing him down.
And that is one of the biggest parts about DFG as well, is that it's percentage-based damage. So if you get someone super tanky like a Singed or a Mundo, that can do so much in one quick burst. Not to mention, still scales off AP, you can still get that percentage increase, and that's the thing too. And someone super tanky on the front line, if you want to dissuade them, if you want to get someone super tanky off the front line, if you can manage to chunk them out to like less than half, they're like, hold on a minute. I thought I had health. Let me go back. Let me go back for a second and reconsider my options. And when you have a team with that much damage able to chunk out one of the main frontline tanks, the game's won.
Yeah,
the game is won.
But can you imagine the fight before, if Corki hadn't been able to pick up the kill into Kog'Maw and was bursted down, then all of a sudden we have Singed, Maokai, and Kog'Maw all sitting at Baron. They pick up the Baron for their team, and now, Millennium is looking like they're going to win, but Corki, he grabs the kill onto Kog'Maw, then Valkyring over the wall is able to pick up the kill into Janna as well, and then Singed and Maokai walking into him, and he sustains the entire time through them, and then Maokai with no mana.
But remember, though, at the start of that fight, Tarek was not with the team.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Tarek was in the back in the jungle. It's like, oh, hey, there's a team fight. Kog'Maw stun, and for the majority of that fight, Karthus, and that's the thing with Karthus too, is that when Karthus, when you go in for a fight, you're looking to sometimes, very often, suicide. You're in the middle of a fight, you have your AoE going, but in order to stack onto the damage, Kog'Maw needs to be on the back line, throwing down all the Toei shots, but there was Tarek.
Yeah.
Fantastic positioning to stun him and to keep him out of the fight while they took care of Karthus.
But then the issue was, even though Tarek was able to, stop Kog from doing all of his damage, Karthus, he had the AoE, he just walked, like, the entire team was sitting on Karthus's AoE and sitting in the slow, and so Jax went down very quickly. I'm still shocked almost that Millennium decided to surrender. I think
I mean, if we had to be honest, I think
why.
the game, you know, was going to be Over. Absolute
Yeah.
Legends, the Kassadin pick, the Jax pick, that's just so much late game potential, and they had finally hit it. And I think Millennium just realized, yep, they hit it, it's done.
It's over.
But
It's
at
done.
the same time, you know, Millennium, they had a lot of options themselves. So if they could have had that organized fight, you know, pick up kills, have that late game presence, I feel like that game, that would have been a 50-minute game almost.
It could have been.
That would have been a really long one. That would have been, you know, down to the wire. But regardless, we'll see. And that burst damage, there you have it against Singed. You know, just not tanky enough. That the Janna and then the Kassadin, just so much damage with that Death Virus. It's such an awesome item now. I loved Death Virus before. It was a great item. But now, instead of getting that mana regen, the fact that you get just so much ability power and
It just makes it
burst,
so much better.
They nerfed the burst a little bit, but you get a lot of ability power from it, which is awesome.
You see all the damage that's done? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's still plenty of damage. It's still enough. And if you have someone with 4,000 health on them,
This was a nice,
buying an item for 1,000 chunk off that? Sure, why not?
This match was a nice, like, you know, refresher for TSM's gone. And they're, you know, Absolute Legends is like, hey, you know, we'll cheer you up a little bit. TSM's out of the office, but we've got it taken care of. Absolute Legends picking up EXHCL, and they are looking really good. Millennium looked really strong, too. That was a really cool matchup,
really
very
good.
even.
And, you know, it's just all these EU matches have just been so entertaining. Millennium, al.eu. WinFact Acer was amazing as well. NA bracket, pick up the slack.
Step it up.
Your
Step it up, man.
matches are boring in comparison to this. We got to see a little bit more flair from you guys. Speaking of that, though,
we're getting into that, though, with the NA. We're getting into some intense matches.
Here's the thing. Tonight, though,
Yeah.
we've had al.eu. Tonight, we're going to have ALNA versus Team Green Forest. Hopefully, they can give us something just as entertaining. Also, keep in mind that now al.eu, now they're moving on. They're going to be facing the winner of Moscow 5 and Salad Supreme, which is playing tomorrow morning. So do actually come by.
That'll definitely be cool.
Come by tomorrow morning.
And next week is going to be intense.
Oh,
All
God.
of next week, we're going to have, I mean, once again, we're getting down to the wire. We're going to have some awesome matchups. Moscow 5 and Salad Supreme. You have to admit, Moscow 5 is a bit of a favorite there. The Salad Supreme, we did see them beat TCM in the past.
Yeah.
They have, you know,
They're
had
up
some
there.
really cool matches. You know, Moscow 5 and EXHCL would be a really cool match, but regardless, it'll be fun.
And it's a match that they've played so many times before, and every time it's freaking amazing. But you know what?
Fnatic and Alternate also.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a cool one to see match up.
But you know what? For now, though, that was a pretty long. I'm hungry, man. Like, I need to take a nap after that one. That was just too. Dude, that was just I was so excited for that set. I'm just like, now I'm kind of like I'm drained. I need to get some, like, I need to get my blood sugar back up.
Before we take a nap, I will say, TSM, they were in the office. It was really awesome. If you haven't seen LOL update with TSM, it was really cool. We did some cool videos. That's the first of them. We have a bunch of videos that we're looking to release with TSM over the next week. YouTube.com/IPLLOL. But if you haven't seen LOL update, definitely go check that out. It's on our front page of IPL LOL right now. Definitely, all of TSM, they are awesome. Like, having them in the office, they have just such, awesome, legendary teamwork. They are just so close together as a team. They have great team chemistry, and they're really cool guys.
So, and as always, with the usual, remember, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook at IGN Pro League, and remember, send us your tops, send us your flops. We want your replays. IPL replays at gmail.com. If we go ahead and use them, we'll send you something nice. But for now, join us again this afternoon. Team Green Forest and Absolute Legends NA will be playing.
And also, feel free to stay on. We're going to have the rebroadcast for this match up in just a second. So, Game 1, 2, and 3 were all fantastic. If you didn't catch any of them, they will be up. And then we'll have VODs up later as well. But
for now,
rebroadcast coming up soon.
Rebroadcast coming up next. And for now, we will see you again soon. Thanks for sticking around with us. This is an amazing series. I appreciate all you guys coming on in and tuning in, for your evening, your afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. But I think we're done for now.
Yep.
Everyone, thanks for stopping by. We will see you next time. Good night.
We'll be right back.